Hi, I'm Julie Marie and I'm here in the Protective Diet Test Kitchen, and I'm super excited to show you this technique video to go with my latest recipe for Protective Diet cookies. At last, we finally have a plant-based, oil-free, nut-free, sugar-free, additive and preservative-free, gluten-free cookie that's crispy. For years, I've been trying to perfect a cookie recipe that doesn't taste like a rubber nugget. That's very common when we cut the oils and the fats out of the diet. Things don't tend to crisp up in the oven. So this recipe is perfect. Coming soon, I'll have a Thin Mint recipe, just like the Girl Scouts, and a lemon crisp cookie, an almond cookie, ginger snaps. But let's start off with these 4 recipes. So today I'm making the chocolate chip cookies, and it's the same for the vanilla wafers, the sandwich cookies that are filled with the creamy chocolate frosting and vanilla on the outside, or the cookie dough bites. So you're going to mix the dry ingredients with the moist together with a fork until it's almost come together. You're going to have a lot of dry on the bottom. And then knead it together on your countertop, or you could do a work surface of a cutting board, whatever you prefer. A jelly cutting board or a wooden cutting board. Dough generally sticks to wood, just to save you the trouble. You can see this comes together pretty easily. And the best part about it is you can eat the dough. There's no eggs, there's no salmonella risk here. And there's no risk of going off plan or affecting your success on your protective diet. Even if you ended up splurging and eating half the batch of this cookie dough while you were making your cookie dough bites or your cookies, you're still coming in well under 400 calories. You could just count it as a whole grain, starch-based meal and not feel guilty about it. You probably wouldn't end up eating dinner after eating all this cookie dough. I usually cut this into 2 logs, and I make one into the cookie dough bites and one into baked cookies. And I cut them in half, cut the log in half, and then I cut it into about 7 to 8 cookies or nuggets to form into balls to make into cookies. You can make the cookies as wide in diameter as you want, but you want to keep them about a 1/4 inch thick so that they bake according to the recipe directions. And then the cookie dough bites, I tend to make smaller so that they're just a little treat. And I keep both the cookies, any of the cookies or the sandwich cookies or the cookie dough bites in my freezer. It helps to pace me along with these treats so that I have them throughout the week. And I can pack them in lunches. These are perfect to make kids feel like they have what the kids next to them have in the lunchroom. They have a cookie, just like all the other kids now on a protective diet. So this is how I would roll the cookie dough bites. And I put them into a little container like this with a lid. You could put them in a Ziploc bag. And then I put them into my freezer because I love them cold. I think they're delicious. You could eat them as they are right now, which I usually end up with, when I make the cookies, about 29 cookies to 31 cookies. But if you're eating a lot of the dough, like Jerry, we end up with like 20 cookies at the end of the cookie batch. So just roll them up like that and put them in a container into the freezer. You could also keep them in the refrigerator for a few days, but I recommend freezing them and tasting them frozen. They're awesome. And the texture is exactly like chocolate chip cookie dough. I sampled these with my friends that eat a traditional diet. Some of them eat a vegan diet, and they eat sugar still, and these went over incredibly well. I'm going to be serving them at our Protective Diet Healthy Friends potluck tomorrow night and testing them out on them. So this is how I form the cookies. I'm using a silicone mat here. You could also use a parchment paper lined baking sheet. Either way, you just want to make sure it's lined. The parchment paper and the silicone mat actually help the cookie brown. Gives a nice brown golden tone to the underside of the cookie. And these cookies crisp up as they cool. Then to form the cookies, I just press them out like that. So it's about a 1/4 inch thick. Not too thin. If they get too thin, then you won't have a soft center. You want a crispy outside, but a nice give and a nice chew to the cookie as well. Now I want to show you how to make the sandwich cookies. And we have a batch of the creamy chocolate frosting. And I just want to show you a really easy way to apply this into the cookie centers. So I have a Ziploc baggie. You could also use a pastry bag if you have one. And I'm putting it inside a jar, and we all have jars on a Protective Diet. We store a lot of our food in them and condiments and sauces that we make, or you could put it inside of a drinking glass. And this is just a great way to get it from your blender pitcher into the jar, and then you can zip it up. And I want you to chill this frosting so that it pipes out really easily. Then you're going to take your Ziploc baggie and make a cut. And this is going to help you pipe out the frosting into the center of your cookies. You could hold them, or you could put them down on a cutting board, and you'll put just enough in there so that when you put the cookie top, and match your cookies so that they match each other and fit together nicely. You put just enough in there so that it fills the center and doesn't spill out the sides. Another one. And you can line them all up, and you can have your kids, get your kids in the kitchen, grandkids, neighbors, kids you're babysitting for. If you're homeschooling, make this a lesson and work with them and talk to them about sugar in the diet and how removal of sugar is helping them with concentration in school and excel in sports by eating whole grains. They can make an assembly line of them, and then one of your kids can match them up to put a nicely fitting cookie as a top, just like that. And then with these, I like to eat them frozen because then the centers don't smush out. And they're perfect to pack in your kids' school lunches or your own office lunch. Put them in plastic wrap, and I wrap them up individually. Then they'll seem more like a treat to your kids and to yourself. And you'll be able to pace yourself, although you don't really have to. These are so low calorie that they're not going to cause a hiccup in your goals on a protective diet if you eat them as a treat. If you end up eating half a batch of the cookie dough bites as you're making it, just count it as a meal. You're going to be full anyway. You're going to end up skipping dinner. I did it once while I was in testing, and that was fine. It's like a whole grain starch-based meal. So I'm wrapping these up. I'm putting them in this other plastic container to put into my freezer so that they don't get lost. Although you might want to take one out and hide it in the back of the freezer from your kids so that you're sure to get one, because they're going to love these treats. I'm going to finish wrapping up and making these sandwich cookies for my potluck tomorrow and my freezer stash. For more recipes like this, enroll in Protective Diet Education. Get involved in our community support in our classroom. I'm here to guide you and teach you application tips that are going to make this diet and lifestyle possible for you and your whole entire family to achieve optimal health. Take care and best of health to you.